Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Primetime News. A little late this week because I'm taking some time to relax and enjoy myself. So this was filmed several days prior to you initially seeing it. But we have a lot of stuff to go over this week as usual, and we are going to start with eBay's latest attempt to get as much money out of you as possible. All right, well, as you can see here, eBay rolls out offside ads beta for Google ad placement. So, what that means is eBay is beta testing a program with select sellers in which they have to pay to have their items listed on Google when people do a search. As soon as someone clicks on one of those listings, the seller is going to be charged a fee. It is not going to matter whether or not the buyer makes a purchase, unlike the traditional promoted listing standard model that eBay started out with. Then eBay started to go into this cost per click model within eBay itself that you could sign up for. Well, unfortunately, it seems like enough sellers signed up for cost per click within eBay that eBay said, you know what? Forget giving this to people as a free feature for Google searches. We're going to start charging the sellers for it. So, again, they're doing this beta testing. Now, just to go back a little bit in history here, and I'll show you a prior um, posting from eBay, you could see here when they were talking about their external promoted listings, when they announced this. So, this is showing basically that promoted listing standard. So, promoted listing standard, remember, is when you only pay if your item sells, and you, as the seller for promoted listings standard, have the ability to set the rate. So what eBay was doing as part of that is they worked out something with Google in which if you had something on promoted listing standard, that listing would also be eligible to be shown on Google ad searches, and this would not cost anything extra to sellers. You could see there in bold, external promoted listings come at no additional cost to sellers. And this would be an example right here. I mean, you could search anything you want. Me being a comic fan, I put in a comic book, Amazing Spider-Man 300, and you could see here when I search for that on Google, that brings up actually the first listing is an eBay listing. Now, it does bring up other sites, but as you scroll down, if you're partial to eBay, you could see that there's a lot of eBay listings right here. I mean, there's a whole section of it. All right, now how is this going to affect the average seller? Well, if you don't use promoted listings, that is going to put you at a disadvantage in terms of Google search. Now, it's already been like that, but it's going to be even more so because even if you use promoted listing standard, which by the way, I think eBay hates promoted listing standard. And one day, I think they're probably going to get rid of it. The reason being is that you don't pay until there's results, and eBay hates that. eBay just wants you to pay regardless of whether or not a sale is made. That's why they're moving to a cost per click model. Remember, cost per click, you are going to pay regardless of whether or not you make a sale, just as long as the person clicks it. And by the way, with this new program that they're rolling out, you do not have the ability to set the rate. eBay is going to set that rate for you. So they are going to just come up with what they think. It says it right here. During this closed beta, we'll calculate a unique cost per click for each seller's inventory. You'll see that cost per click while you're setting up your campaign. This is the cost per click we think. The cost per click we think. Well, forget what you think as the seller. This is what we think will deliver optimal performance based on factors like competition, relevance, and quality. And I'm sure if eBay's not sure if the cost per click should be higher or lower, that they're gonna err towards the lower. No, no, no. It's gonna go towards the higher. I mean, come on. So The other problem with this, if you use promoted listing standard and then you opt into this, check this out. This is probably the most outrageous part. Once you've created an offsite ads campaign, your listings can only appear in Google Ads through that campaign. They won't be eligible to appear in Google Ads via your promoted listings standard campaigns. So I guess what they said back here, external promoted listings come at no additional cost to sellers. Those days look like they are going away. All right, so one of the main takeaways from this for me is that I think eBay is going to make it more and more difficult for the average seller to make sales on the platform. Even if you have a good title, good photos, good keywords, good descriptions, checked off proper item specifics, it's still going to be a challenge if you are not involved in some type of promoted listing. Now, doesn't mean it's impossible, doesn't mean that you have to use promoted listings. In fact, I have said many times on this channel, and I am still sticking with it, that I will never use a cost per click promoted listing model on eBay. I just philosophically have a problem with it. It just doesn't make sense to me to be paying money for people to click on listings that I have no guarantee of any type of outcome that's going to be profitable for my business. And I also don't have faith, given all of eBay's glitches in the past, that they are going to properly calculate cost per click and that their rates are accurately determined. So it's just never going to happen for me. So if you turn back and say, well, what does that mean? What if you just don't make any sales on eBay anymore? Well, if that's the case, if it ever got that bad, then I would just have to completely shift over to different platforms. And, if enough sellers wound up doing that, then maybe eBay would change their tune. Right now, I'm still sticking with it because I'm still making good money not using promoted listings for most of my listings. If you use promoted listings and you are not enrolled in this program, what is going to happen to your ad that should show up on Google search? Now, they haven't said that it's not going to show up at all, but what it looks like is going to happen is that ad is going to get pushed down in preference for the one that people are explicitly paying for. Doesn't that just make sense in terms of what they would do? So, ways to try to deal with this if you still want to sell on eBay is that you are going to have to make sure that you are getting your hands on more unique items so that when people do a search for it, there's not much, if anyone else, that's going to come up for that listing, but you as the seller. So they will essentially be forced to show it. Now, if you're interested in what types of items those would be, check out all of my estate sale, garage sale, and other types of videos where I go sourcing places, as well as many of my prior what sold videos. And there's many other great channels on YouTube where you could get information like that as well. So that's one thing. They don't all have to be unique, but make sure you're getting things that are high demand that are relatively low supply. Keep in mind that if you are sourcing stuff that is high supply and low demand, you are going to have a significantly more difficult time selling that. I mean, it's difficult already, but it's going to be more and more of a challenge. The other thing to do in terms of a workaround is to more and more experiment with putting items on other platforms. Now, if for you, you want to try Poshmark, if you want to try Etsy, if you want to try Shopify store, if you want to try Facebook Marketplace, whatever it is that works for your business model and the types of items you sell, I would encourage you to try that more and more. I talked about this months ago. I saw the writing on the wall with this, and this is another example of it. I'll put a link to the video up top where I predicted this exact type of thing months ago. Now, one of the things I talked about in that video is how I was shifting more and more of my inventory onto Whatnot. And I am very happy that I did that for the types of items that I sell. It's been a great platform for me. It's not necessarily for everybody, but they are expanding into more and more categories. So if you haven't checked it out, you could do so by checking out the link below in the description section. All right, so let's counter that story with a positive one about eBay. At least if you like technology, eBay is trying more and more to roll out immersive 3D visualization of products. Now, that sounds very technical, but basically, what that means is that sellers are going to be able to take their phone one day, according to eBay, and just basically scan all around their item, and then that is going to be able to be shown to prospective buyers in 3D format when they click on your listing. That's pretty cool. If they could get a whole 3D view of it and, manipulate it around, and who knows, maybe, people wear special glasses or something and they could really, almost feel like they're touching it or something. I mean, that would be neat. All right, now these next two stories are interesting because they put the first eBay story into proper economic context, because we are in difficult times economically right now. And as a result, depending on where it is that you are trying to sell and what you're trying to sell, you may have less buyers out there because people have less disposable income. So as a result, eBay sees that and they see that their gross merchandising volume continues to decline. So what do? They act like the bully in the hallway at school, pushing the kid against the locker, trying to get an extra dollar out of them, charge people for promoted listings, and charge people for exposure to be seen. How bad are things economically? Well, even Amazon just posted a second quarter loss. And part of the reason for that is because of the massive expansion that they had to do during the pandemic and investing in warehouses all over the place to try to get people supplies that they were ordering. So there were a lot of losses they accrued as a result of that. Now, their revenue increased a bit compared to what expectations were. And so, as a result of that, investors are still happy about Amazon. I mean, not thrilled in the sense that they're not doing what they used to do. But since the revenue is still high, the expectation is Amazon will find a way to cut those losses and get control of those, and go forward and have profitable quarters. But still, it does show a second quarter loss from Amazon is definitely unusual. All right, now here's another economic sign. Walmart is just blowing out product like they have never done before because they are overwhelmed with inventory in their warehouses, all stuff that they ordered during the pandemic that was on back order that is finally coming in now. But as a result of the tough economic times, there's just not enough buyers out there for everything that they ordered. So it's interesting because my daughter, Little Miss Primetime, went out this weekend and she loaded up with some awesome retail arbitrage items. She was photographing them to me that she found in the clearance section. And, I said, yeah, bring them back. We'll list them on eBay or, somewhere else, and we'll sell them. So definitely look at Walmart more if you haven't before, or if you went there and didn't get a good result. Try it again because they are blowing stuff out now. All right, now actually, in another economic indicator, USPS Postmaster DeJoy has announced that they are going to shed 50,000 employees through attrition over his 10-year break even plan. So, to be clear, he is not saying that he is going to fire 50,000 employees, but there's an expectation that about 200,000 USPS workers are going to retire over the next 10 years. So rather than replacing all 200,000, he's just not going to replace 50,000 of the 200,000. So it looks better because you're not firing people, but it's still the same effect in the end. Now, DeJoy claims that based on how he's going to redistribute the workforce and based on some of the other big changes that they're doing at USPS, such as consolidating a lot of services and warehouses together, that they're going to have a more efficient workforce. Time will tell over this 10 years, though, if that's the case. All right, let's move into the primetime crime series, and this stuff just continues to happen. Two former USPS contractors allegedly swiped $4 million worth of mail in Texas. So they would just rifle through the mail and they would take out things like cash, gift cards, checks, money orders, and then they would stash whatever they could find in these 55-gallon trash bags. So their house was raided and this stuff was discovered. And now they face 45 years in federal prison. Once again, not worth it. I wish some of these people would watch the primetime news so they would stop trying to do this sort of thing, but greed just seems to keep taking over. All right, now this next story is crazy. You have to see the video. If you live in the Las Vegas area or you ship something out to the Las Vegas area and it was expected to be delivered via Amazon, it may not have gotten there in time because the guy who you're going to see in this video allegedly beat up a woman, then went into a house in the neighborhood and robbed it, and then got into an Amazon truck, pulled the driver out, and then led police on this crazy chase. Check it out.
Here, we're on readiness TC.
Slamming into innocent drivers as he led police on a chase from Riverside to Moreno Valley.
He's hopping out of the car, going to go northbound across the freeway. We got him.
Before the carjacker behind the wheel of this stolen Amazon delivery van tried to make this getaway, he did much deeper damage to a 23-year-old woman inside her home. They arrested him at the end of the chase.
I just really hope that he stays in prison for the rest of his life.
Larks has been charged with attempted murder, home invasion robbery.
If it was me, I would have hung him by his heels and beat the out of him. Because that poor girl is going to be traumatized. Totally traumatized for the rest of her life.
And that victim says one of her doors was unlocked Monday night because this is, after all, her home and she's always felt safe there. But now she wants other women listening out there to know this is exactly why it's important to always make sure your doors are locked. The suspect's bail has been set at $1 million. Reporting live in Riverside, I'm Nicole Comstock, KCAL 9 News.
Crazy story, but I actually talked about that recently, if you remember, about the importance of keeping doors locked and how many violent crimes occur as a result of it. This, unfortunately, is another example. All right, now an update to this story, which I showed in a prior primetime news broadcast, in which these two guys broke into a storage unit and they were unloading these big, heavy boxes of comics and putting them on the back of a pickup truck. Well, police used surveillance cameras, followed these guys out of there, and got the $400,000 in comics back. So we have a happy end to this story. All right, let's move on to some lighter reselling associated news. If you haven't heard, the Choco Taco is dead. Yes, Klondike has announced the discontinuation of many people's favorite sweet treat. Now, I've got to admit, I'm just generally not a big Klondike fan. I used to eat the Klondike bars when I was younger, not so much the Choco Taco. I had to have eaten one. I don't really have a distinct memory of it, but I'm sure many people watching this loved it. So people are going nuts on social media, on TikTok and Twitter, and on eBay. Lots of save the Choco Taco campaigns. How do you sell a Choco Taco on eBay? Won't it melt on the way, you ask? Well, you have to ship it in dry ice. And you could see there are a lot of people making some sales, people grabbing 10 of them, supposedly selling them for $150 or two for $100. And then there's crazy asking prices on there. Of course, we don't know for sure how many of these things actually were paid for, but there are a lot of completed sales for it. Now, I'm really curious to see your comment about this story down below. Should Doyle Brunson be mad at eBay flippers? If you don't know who Doyle Brunson is, he's one of the most famous poker players in the world, and he does sign autographs for people. Apparently, he signs autographs for free if you send him mail and request him to sign something. Apparently, he's been very generous and has sent people autographs back. Well, now he's mad because he found out that some people are taking those autographs and they are listing them on eBay for around $400. Now, that doesn't mean they're selling them for $400, but people are asking things like that. So I get it on one level that he's mad. However, if you are signing autographs for people in this day and age, you have to be aware, if you're a celebrity, that there are going to be a percentage of people that are going to try to sell it on eBay. So one of the things that a lot of celebrities do is they charge money for their autograph. That seems to be the better approach here, I would think, rather than just eliminating your signature entirely. Because one of the things he's doing by eliminating his signature entirely, like here, I'll show you what he said right here. Look at it. He said, I just went to eBay and saw where most of the autographs I signed are on sale. Every letter says they are my biggest fan, like the letters that they send to him, and want to hang the 2 pictures on their wall. I won't be signing anymore. Like, I get it. Like, people are deceiving him on some level to try to get these autographs. Now, there can be people who really are a big fan and they like the autograph. They hold on to it for a little bit, they enjoy it, and then they go and try to sell it. But again, I get why he'd be mad if someone sends a message like that, then he sees that that person instantly puts it onto eBay. So, charge some money for it, but by eliminating the signature entirely, ironically, what he's doing is he's making those other signatures more valuable on eBay because there's less supply. So, sorry, Doyle. I don't think that plan is really going to work out too well for you. Just charge some money for the autograph. All right. Speaking of celebrities, if you are a Magic the Gathering fan, Post Malone, a famous singer, rapper, if you're not familiar with him, he's from Syracuse, New York, by the way, where I live. He has officially signed with Whatnot, and he is going to be doing a show in which he is going to pick a random person to play Magic the Gathering against. And if you are the person selected, Whatnot is actually going to have you train with a professional to go up against him. And if you beat him, you could get $100,000. I just think it's a cool way. It's obviously a gimmicky type of thing that Whatnot is doing, but I think it's a cool way to get the Whatnot name out there. It's innovative, it's fun. And I just wish that, other platforms, particularly eBay, would start thinking of things like this to do that are kind of cutting edge cultural, pop culture type of thing. And that would appeal also to a younger, hip crowd. All right. Now, speaking of appealing to a younger crowd, I talked about in a prior news video that Whatnot formed their own publishing company for comic books. And they did announce the official date of their first comic book drop. It's going to be Alpha Betas. That is based on an animated series that's coming in October 2022. That's one that I'm definitely going to try to pick up. All right, now for our touching story of the week, we actually have 2 of them. Really cool stories. One involving a USPS worker. Now, we normally see a FedEx worker involved in one of these videos, but great to see USPS represented. In this one, we have a USPS mail carrier rescuing a 6-year-old girl after the mother was overdosing on fentanyl. So check this out.
What really caught my attention was hearing a child's voice. There was a child in the back seat that was yelling.
Was the car off? It was still running?
That's Russell, captured on an officer's body camera. He had just spotted a car idling on the side of Fenton Street. What he saw and heard made him call 911.
The closer I got, I heard, "My mommy's dead." So immediately ran over there and dropped my mail in this lady's front yard and make sure the kid was out of the back seat first, and then checked on the mom. She was slumped over.
Wheat Ridge police say the mother had overdosed. By the time officers arrived, she'd woken up and she admitted to taking a fentanyl pill.
It was a fentanyl pill.
And the woman's 6-year-old daughter told officers about what she saw.
So I was in the back.
And she also spoke about who helped her.
And the mailman came over here to me.
The mailman
Dropped my stuff in the front lawn and got her out of the vehicle first.
But everyone involved, including officers, call him a hero.
I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful that he was there to help the child in this situation so that she had someone there that she can trust.
Yeah, it hit a chord a lot of different ways, but mainly in the sense that, anytime I hear a child's voice that sounds anything like that, it's pretty immediate.
What a great guy. That's an awesome story. And let's turn to another great guy. And it does involve FedEx, but not quite in the way that you might expect. All right, so in this story, a man comes across a bunch of packages that have been discarded on the side of the road. These are FedEx packages. Now, we've talked about in many prior videos how there are carriers who get overwhelmed and they just throw all the packages on the side of the road. So, what would you do if you came across all of these packages? Would you just drive by them, or would you do what this guy did?
A lot of people said, they've had problems getting packages before and now this, so they were really glad to get it.
It was this Denton man who saw FedEx package after FedEx package scattered along Johnson Road Saturday.
Both sides down there where the white mailbox is. We found one package right here beside this driveway.
It caught this couple's attention.
Yeah, we did reach out to FedEx. We called them. They refused to come out or anything. We were just wanting them to come get the packages, and they just told us to take them home or take them to a drop-off station. And I didn't feel comfortable taking them to my house.
24 hours later, the packages were still there. So the couple, who wants to remain anonymous, spent about 2 hours searching for the packages, loading up their truck, and then hand-delivering them to the rightful owners.
Everybody was glad to get it. Everybody was real happy. One guy even tried to pay. As soon as he got out of his vehicle to get his package, he said, "Here, take this money," which was $10 for y'all's time and effort. I said, "No, I don't want that. I just want you to get your package."
All right, so that goes to show you there still are awesome people out there, so don't despair. I know there's a lot of negativity in the news, but we tried to bring you some positive news to end off in this broadcast each and every week. All right, everyone. Well, that's the end of another exciting episode of Primetime News. By the time you watch this, I will be kicking back, relaxing, and enjoying myself somewhere. And I will still plan to be back for another episode of Primetime News next week. So thank you for all of the support on the channel. And I'll look forward to seeing you at the next one. For now, I'm going to try a little different technique with the dew bottle. Instead of just tossing it over, I'm going to do a little double tap technique with it. So we'll do one tap like that. And then whoa! Ho, ho, ho! A double tap dew. Wow, that was insane. All right, everyone, it's time for me to take a little break. I'll see you back at the next one. Take care.